Hey everyone, Alaska here, and I have chapter 1 for you for 27009. I hope you're ready. It's going to take a while. So, we have Scout 5. Let's see. At 29, 6 feet tall, blonde hair and blue eyes, my good looks made it easy to get close to women. Adding the fact that I was sort of an internet celebrity didn't help either. I had many followers with my false identity, but what was identity anyway? We let people believe what they saw. We posted our good side instead of our bad. The world was full of fake people with plastic personalities. Scouts of Whitlock typically remained unknown. We weren't meant to draw attention. We weren't supposed to stick out in crowds or have fans that tracked our every move. I was the exception. I was that good at what I did. But I knew the consequences. I knew if I fucked up, I was a dead man. What my followers didn't know was I already was. The man they stalked on the web wasn't alive in the real world. He didn't even really exist when you took into account the basis for existence. A birth certificate, a social security card, etc. I was a product of a master and slave, their child born before hysterectomies were forced within the stone walls of Whitlock. My father was a very important man, a famous actor, a classic, as they're called. I grew up hidden within the white walls of a small apartment. Although I knew my mother was a slave, sorry, my kitty. Although I knew my mother was a slave, from memory I was never sure which slave she'd been. I doubted the flashes of childhood consisted of the real her. My father went through many slaves. Some lasted a year or two, some just a day. I was taught early in life never to get close to women. Clark showed me their evil minds. Even if you broke them, they always found a way to manipulate the situation, to lie, steal, or cheat. My father must have gone through a good 24 slaves before I became a guard at Whitlock. I even bought myself a slave once. I thought I loved her. She loved me. It didn't matter. It didn't take long for me to bore of her whiny, weak attitude. She lived to please, and something in me, something in my makeup, made me hate her for it. Every look, every pathetic expression she made built until one day I smashed in her face with my fist. Even when I hit her, she wouldn't leave my feet. Her fingers clawed into my bare legs, breaking the skin while she tried to pull herself closer. I hated women, almost just as much as I hated people in general. A greeting sounded from one of the guards as I turned the corner and headed toward the Scouts' lounge. I had everything packed, ridiculously preppy clothes, nice shoes, a handful of board shorts. Athens would look great on my social media accounts, but I had no desire to be in a tropical type setting. I liked the cold, the desolate. It reminded me of here, of Whitlock. The white snow was like the never-ending passages I raced down as a child. I got into a lot of trouble in my youth, been caught up by some nasty masters in very inappropriate situations. I'd even stabbed one for touching my dick when I was 8. He didn't die, but he never tried to touch me again. 5. I looked over my shoulder, slowing as 17 jogged toward me. You headed to check out? You would be correct. I stared ahead, hoping he wouldn't want to continue. I was great at acting like I gave a shit in the real world, but I didn't have to do that here. The maid master Mateo had me going to Cuba. Fucking Cuba. What the hell am I going to do there? Where are you headed? Athens. And do what you're meant to do. Bag a slave. Bag a few. That's what I plan to do. 24690 isn't going to be stupid enough to show up somewhere like Athens. That would be too easy. She's smarter than that. Maybe she's smarter than you and would go to Athens because we would suspect her to. I glanced over, narrowing my eyes. I guess. I'll search her out regardless. It's not like I didn't plan to do my job. I just really don't think she's going to be there. What I do know for sure is that place is crawling with Whitlock material. I've been out there 10 minutes before I find a new slave. The chosen list is freed up now that the auction is over with. I can pretty much pluck any attractive bitch I see. Very true. Want to do a bet? A laugh left me, hollow, evil, with a spice of annoyance. You think you can find a more attractive slave than I can? Look at me. Do you know who I am? I have a couple 100,000 followers. You should take a look. It's like fish in a barrel. I see their location. I could easily arrive without them knowing. Put us in a situation where we just happen to run into each other. It'd be as simple as Kate to dangle my hook, set the bait, and reel the dumb bitch in. Her ass would be on a boat or through the underground system before she could convince me to let her suck my dick. You stand no chance, 17. No one does. Many may say they're the best at this, but I'm the only one who doesn't even have to try. No games, no effort, pure fucking talent. I was made for this. Silence was quickly followed by a curse. No wonder no one likes you. Jesus. I'll see you on the return. I hope not. I didn't even glance over as 17 stormed off. I went through the lounge, rapping at the door of Mateo's connecting office. What I didn't expect was our main master to be the one who answered. Who the fuck are... A smile came to Bram Whitlock's face as his head cocked to the side. Clark's kid. That's right. I haven't seen you in ages. You have your father's eyes. Come in, Five. We were just talking about you. I nodded, obeying my master as I stood in front of Mateo's mahogany desk. With the scout leader's gesture of approval, I sat, angled toward main master Whitlock. There was an excitement in his energy. It showed in his blue eyes and the way his hair was neatly slicked back today. It was no secret lately that he'd taken a turn for the worst. Not in health, but in his mental state. His slave was fucking him up, in short, and he was a fool to allow her to do that to him. You're headed to Athens. Yes, main master. My plane leaves in a few hours. I was coming to check out before I headed to the airport. Perfect. This is fucking perfect. You're my guy. You're gonna bring her back. I paused, glancing over to Mateo and sitting straighter. You have intel she's there. Bram shook his head. She's not there yet. One of my men overheard she's possibly on her way. He'll be waiting for you at the airport. He already has your room ready, and if my guy is correct, she'll be staying at the same resort as you. You do whatever the fuck you have to do to get a visual. If you spot her, and you know it's her without a shadow of a doubt, you do nothing. Do you hear me? You fucking call me directly, and I'll send everyone I have to meet you there. I won't lose her this time, he smiled, radiating a happiness I hadn't seen from him since his return. I got her. She can't get away this time. There's no way. If she's there, you have my word we'll get her. I know the slave personally. We both grew up here. I saw her on occasion throughout the years. I'll be able to spot 24690 if your information is correct. His hand rose while he pointed his index finger toward me. Yes. Mateo's programmed my number into your phone. I expect a call within the next few days. Before I could answer, he stormed from the door, all butterflies and rainbows full of shades of black. Despite his joy, I could feel the underlying darkness of his energy. He may be excited to retrieve her, but once he did, happiness wasn't going to be transpiring between the two. He was pissed at her escape, even if he did love her. And the slave, she was a fucking psycho bitch, skinning off men's faces. I wonder if she wore them before she sent them over in neatly wrapped presents. Your phone, Mateo said blandly, handing it over. You know the drill. No personal calls from this number. It's untrackable and untraceable, but we don't pay for your social life. Use your own shit. You're to report within 24 hours and every 24 hours after that, as given the high-stakes mission and death toll to date. If we do not hear back from you, you'll go on the list. If we find out that you're alive and failed to keep contact, you're dead. If we don't find you, you're probably dead anyway. The main master's number is programmed under MM. You'll call him upon delivery of 24690, and then you'll immediately call me. Is that clear? For discovery. Yes, sir. The man you're meeting is not a scout. He goes by the name Joe. You'll know him when you see him. Now sign. A paper was thrust in my direction, and I grabbed a pen from the holder, scribbling 5 with the initials TS off to the side. Great, now get out of my office. Next time I see your face, better not be because it came in a fucking white box with a red bow. Stay away from her, 5. She's not to be trusted. She'll eat you alive if you're alone. Remember that. Hold on. Okay. I tried not to roll my eyes as I grabbed the handle of my suitcase and headed back through the lounge. A few scouts looked over, their eyes holding a deadness only I knew. But it was the dangerousness of them I saw too. We were all killers here, from the masters to the scouts to the guards. We lived in a fortress forged from the blood and bones of the unfortunate slaves who were brought here, and almost all of us didn't give a shit. Some of us, like me, physically couldn't, and others had learned to let go of their morals long ago. You couldn't afford to care if you wanted to live in this world. The hall took me down to the underground garage and road systems that were meant for our use. There used to be more ways to get in, but Bram Whitlock put a stop to that after his best friend attempted to have him killed. Now he watched everything. He was probably watching me get in my car and head out, another thing I didn't care about. I took the road down, illuminated by a trail of overhead lights. Every so often it branched out in different ways. But I stayed heading south for miles. There was pretty much nowhere you couldn't go down here. Our system covered almost every state, a superhighway to the death-dealing scouts smuggling in our newest catch. There were even cubbies along the side that housed a small bed and padlock cage if one were to get tired and needed to rest along the way. There was nothing Whitlock hadn't thought of, aside from the obvious reasons of sex, torture, and demand. It was another reason why this place would never die. The power that bound it all together made it impossible. A sign appeared ahead, Cheyenne Regional Airport. It was the most convenient, but not my destination. My flight departed from Denver. It was less than a 2-hour drive. Quicker since I had no speed limit and it was a straight shot. Time passed. I finally arrived at our underground parking lot reserved for the rich and famous. Like an ordinary person, I made my way to the gate of my flight, relieved when I got into my first-class seat and pulled out my file on Everly Harbor, 24690. I sat there memorizing her features, imagining her with different hair color, with shades or contouring makeup. More time. A layover in New York. More studying. Sleep. Athens. So that is chapter 1, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm halfway through chapter 2, so I should have that one for you tomorrow.